Anybody else got 3?
Yes. Yeah, we have Andrew Clayton's been on here 3 times. And
he's going to be on for
Deadliest
his 4th time, though.
Oh, yeah. So the 4th time, I'm trying to think who's been on 4 times because that's
Nobody
that's
yet.
a different group. Yeah, no one yet.
Hopefully after I win a second world title.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be excellent.
Well, should we get the show on the road and start officially?
We should.
Welcome back to World's Strongest Opinions, episode 61 with Nick Myers, or as many people may know you as Uncle Nick. Welcome back to the show, man. It's the 3rd time we've had you on.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like our warm-up room before we started recording was a blast. We probably all got fired, but it is what it is, you know?
That's true. Jury summons and such.
If people knew what I talked about, I'd have been fired many, many times.
Darren's gone 65 years and he's gotten jury duty for the first time.
65. Yeah, definitely 65 years old. But I did. First time in my life, I got a jury summons. That's nuts to me. I don't know. And I've been in Colorado for 11 years, but the current county, I think I've been in here for like 3.5. So, and I've definitely lived other places longer. Well, obviously, the last place I lived longer, but I'm still in Colorado. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I've always wondered. It's always kind of like been a thought in the back of my mind. Why have I never been selected for jury duty? Just lucky, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you're just really freaking lucky. I know I've only ever had it once. I couldn't go because I was deployed or in the military or somewhere where legally they couldn't make me show up. I think my old man has probably gotten it like 3 or 4 times.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
That's bad. That's bad luck.
Which is ironic because if they knew him, they'd never bring him into jury duty.
That's probably true for most people who get selected for jury duty, man.
That's true.
And I guess, yeah, I don't know the selection process. I've never even cared to know, but I know there's a selection process. Just because you're selected doesn't mean you're going to have to sit on the jury, but we shall see.
Correct.
It's true.
I think if you lick your elbow and then act really crazy, that maybe they'll just
start drooling.
Just start drooling profusely. I should take 5 sweat sticks before I go.
5 sweat sticks. I did tell him
start drooling. They'll be like, he's not going.
Man.
Oh man,
it reminds me of the scene from Hook where Tinkerbell's coaching Robin Williams on how to blend in with the pirates. He's like, drop shoulder, drag your leg, drool and scowl. It's my favorite movie ever, so that's why.
Oh, it's such a good one.
Yeah, it's my comfort movie.
Yeah. My comfort movie is Master and Commander with why can't I say his name?
Oh, the guy from Gladiator.
Yeah. Why can't I say his name? He's like super big.
Dang it!
Russell Crowe.
No, that's not Russell Crowe. That's Gerard Butler.
Yeah, it's Russell Crowe. No, it's Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe. Yeah. He's in both Gladiator and Master Commander, and it's like a
I'm thinking a lot about
Napoleonic War era movie about the HMS Surprise on the far side of the world and chasing a French frigate. It's pretty great.
I love him in Robin Hood.
Yeah.
He made a good Robin Hood.
I agree. Robin Longstride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Roll me, bully boys, we're in a hurry, boys. Yeah.
That's what I like about Master Commander too, because there's like really catchy, like old like sailor songs.
Yeah.
And it came out 21 years ago. That's insane to me.
That is insane.
I remember it like as very clearly. Doesn't seem that long ago.
Which one came out when?
Master and Commander.
21 years ago.
21 years ago. And then Robin Williams in August passed away 10 years ago. So that also, time just kind of flies. Yeah. Both of those seem like they were much closer than that. When I saw Master and Commander 2003, I was like, wait, that's 21 years ago.
You know what sucks about getting older though? I mean, is like you start realizing that like I'm not that old yet, but still I realize like I've already lived like probably half or more of my life. And like the thought of your like mortality becomes more real. Things just keep going faster and faster, it seems. Life doesn't slow down. It
I think
definitely
it's because you
speeds
become
up.
more aware.
Yeah, maybe.
You become more aware of time because like you're like, I got less than I've lived. You know what I mean? Like at 19, 20, I'm 30
Yeah.
and I feel it more now than and you know the definition of what old is different. Like 20 years ago, 50, like you were dead. Like 50, like 50 now, like dudes are still active, they're doing things, like people are more aware of
Yeah.
being like physically capable to do things and how there's more resources available for people to keep moving versus like I said 20 years ago, 50,
Yeah, man.
you're as good as dead.
Yeah, I don't think I've
So
ever heard like when I remember growing up when my parents turned 40, they were like everybody's like, "Oh, you're over the hill now." And I'm like, I don't think I've heard anybody say that to me since I turned 40. Because like you're saying, like 40 is really
people used
not
to
that.
die at 70.
Yeah. Well, I think they still do. I mean,
True.
Toby Keith just died and he was what, 62?
He has
So
stomach cancer or
All right.
something.
yeah. People die at all different ages. The average age of for men is what John can fact check this. It's like probably 60, 76, 77.
76.
Yeah.
Women at 79. Because
Yeah.
it's
So
dipped down a little bit since COVID. They're both up
sure.
to like 79. Now
Sure.
they're
So I mean that's
down a bit.
yeah, I mean, getting on that topic, I think certainly a lot of advancements in medical science and fitness is a bigger thing too now, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's like starting to understand that like working out um is massive for longevity
Mhm.
and preventing muscle wasting as you get older. And now like TRT is a bigger thing and widely available to men that are aging, where you didn't have that like in the 80s and the 90s. When you got old, your testosterone just crashed and burned, and you were just like shit out of luck. I mean,
That was it.
I guess unless you went and bought shit from the gym bros or whatever, but like not very many people are doing that. Like so, there's a lot more men. Um,
I
I
mean, you
think
get
are
guys
just
checking their
just
test
healthier.
levels in the 30s and 40s now,
Yeah.
because you can't, they can't predict when it drops off and you can't help it. Like, I mean, people are just so much more aware to go get blood work done, things like that, than they were before. Cause it was just like, I was brought up around those type of men, right? Like,
Yeah.
Grandfather's 28 years in the Navy. My dad was Navy. I was Army. I was brought up around guys that are like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You're fine. Rub some dirt on it. Keep going.
Right.
But also that's like also really can be really self-destructive in the way that like I don't need a doctor. It's like, no, you needed a doctor 5 years ago,
Right.
and now like you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like it's gotten out of that mindset of being open to getting medical help when like I don't care how tough you are, like something goes, it goes. Like it's you have an aneurysm, whatever.
Right.
There's no way of knowing, telling if you haven't been to the gotten anything scanned in a decade. Like you won't even see it coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's
And
like
that type of human just washes pain down with ibuprofen or whiskey
man.
or whatever and just keeps trucking.
Craziest story, man. I was working in oil field many years ago. Actually, I was like 2005. It's almost 20 years ago. And my operator, we were working on what was called a workover or service rig, just the smaller ones, right? Working on maintenance on the production end. And this guy's eating ibuprofen like it's fucking candy, man, like every day. And I'm just like, you ask a few questions. You're like, what, dude? Why are you eating so much ibuprofen? He's like, I just have a headache all the time. And like, but he keeps working, right? And so we just keep at it and don't really say much more. One day I'm about ready to climb the derrick and I look over at the doghouse, the chain shack, and he just falls flat on his face, man, and starts having a seizure. And dude, it turns out he had a brain tumor, and he didn't go to a doctor. He was just eating ibuprofen, man. Like you said, like exactly to a T. Like that old school mentality. You just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just keep fucking pushing through. I mean, fortunately, he survived. He had surgery, and I think he's doing well now. I mean, he's definitely getting older now, but just nuts, man. Nuts to experience something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially just that surprise.
I saw it in the military a lot. Like, you know, when it's changed a little bit now, but when I was in, if you felt bad, you went to sick call in the morning, which meant you had to miss PT. So like you're already running a risk of looking like a shitbag just by going to sick call to miss PT.
Sure.
Then you go there, then they give you ibuprofen and whatever it is, and send you back on your way. Like, and nothing really gets resolved, and you have like a whole generation of guys that got handled that way. And like I know as an aviator, my biggest fear was losing flight status. The last thing I wanted to do was not be able to do my job, and you have to pass flight physical every so often to maintain that flight status. And I had some shit going wrong, like I went deaf in one ear. I had some nerve damage back. That's where my back injury started. The disc herniation, my L3, L4, L5. My L5S1 is now torn, which causes nerve impingement, which shuts down my hamstring, which on things like a deadlift, you can see is a colossal issue because I went from being almost 800-pound puller to like 4 or 5 could be stapled some days.
Right.
Don't know. But so I didn't get imagery done. I didn't get things done because I just dealt with the pain, took ibuprofen, and kept going because I wanted to continue to be a door gunner. And then fast forward, I got out. I still pursued a career in aviation. I went to flight school I wanted to be a flight instructor. Well, I got my private pilot's license. I was doing my instrument rating, my commercial, all that stuff. And it got to the point where like I couldn't feel my feet on the foot pedals anymore. And like it was making my inputs really not what I intended them to be. And when you're in a non-hydraulic aircraft, it's like real twitchy.
Sure.
And I couldn't sit there for more than 30 minutes. So like that mentality took a passion away from me. I can no longer fly. Like I could still maintain my profession, my private pilot's license, go fly recreation, like rent an aircraft, go up and fly. I could do that. But I got about 30 minutes before like the numbness in my hand. Like I noticed the throttle RPMs kept going down, and I thought I was clinching the throttle. You have your collective, and in R22, it twists as well. So your collective adjusts the pitch of the blades. So it'd be like this. You pull up on the collective. That makes it take bigger bites out of the air. And then you have your throttle in that as well, which adjusts your engine RPM. And like I would notice my engine RPM like slowly creep down. It's because I thought I was squeezing the throttle and it was rotating in my hand. I just couldn't feel it.
Crazy.
So it's little things like that that kind of took that thing that I love away from me. And shit, I get it now even riding a motorcycle, like hand numbness within 5 minutes. Like not like I just went on a 3-hour ride, balls to the walls. I was gripping that shit, like arm pump. No, like just that's what I deal with now. And it all could have been prevented had I had access to the right tools and been in an environment where I could have seeked a solution without the risk of losing my job, which they have now, which is dope,
That's
which is the stuff you guys probably saw me posting.
Yeah.
And it's just like that whole generation just ruined both military and non-military, just ruined people's bodies.
Sure.
And I was iron working. Like I love that work. The work is fun, but the lifestyle sucks. Like you're 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I'm northwest of Baltimore. So I either got to go to Baltimore City or DC area for the job sites. And my last one, I was on Fort Meade. So that's a solid like hour if no one's on the road.
Sure.
So I'm leaving at like 4 o'clock, no later than 4 o'clock, to be there by 5:45, to be on the steel by 6:15.
Yeah.
We had our little meeting in the morning at 6, on the steel at 6:15, and I love the work. It's manly. You're a couple hundred feet up in the air walking on steel,
That's badass.
and it just beats the piss out of you. Training sucks. By the time you get done, you get back down the road, you get done training, it's 9 p.m. You need to be in bed by 8. Like, and then you got to make your meals for the night. Like, it was just great money, shitty lifestyle.
Yeah, I feel you there, man. That's what oil field was. Depending on what jobs you take, like drilling rigs, they work like week on, week off, or 4 days on, 4 days off. They work half the year, just pretty sweet. Workover rigs was 6 days a week, and just like you said, depending on where our job site was, it moved where all the time. There was one time we were working like 2.5 hours away from home, and the hours were sun up to sundown. So if you can imagine, like we were getting up, we had just super early, getting in super late, barely getting any sleep, and turning around going back. Fortunately, that was a long term, but yeah, man, it's hard work. I mean, it gets into your, like, it's a young man's job, and I was young at that time, right? And it's fun as shit. It's super manly, pays well. Yeah, you have absolutely no life whatsoever. You're one day off, you're washing clothes, grocery shopping, and back at it. Yeah.
Yeah, your day off's not even like a day of rest. It's like I gotta do all the shit I didn't have time for in the week.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like, you don't really get to hang out with people. You don't get to, like, it just sucks.
Yeah, you got.
It's not like working a construction job in the area you live in where you're off by 5 and then go drink a beer with your buddies, go to the gym, have time to do it all over again. Nah, those like oil rig jobs, steel workers, those like big scale labor workers, like welders, they're working, and you're some like welders, they're potentially stuck in the same position for hours.
Oh yeah, dude.
And that it just each taxes your body due to what's required, and everything's heavy as an iron worker. Your spud wrench is heavy. The bolts are like 1.5 pounds, and I was like one of the few people that could speak Spanglish, so I could communicate with the rest of the crew, and they would call me burro, which is donkey. Because I'd walk up the scaffolding with a 5-gallon bucket of probably about 150 pounds each hand, because strongman, I'm equipped for this.
Yeah.
And 150-pound farmer's carry that's not a fat handle, all day long.
Sure.
And it was kind of like a challenge to myself, like I can do this. So like as the job progressed, the scaffolding got taller and taller and taller and taller. And the scaffolding was just the elevator shaft that they had, staircase scaffolding all the way up until we were top steel, because we would send a basket of bolts up as well. But before I was a connector, I was on bolt up crew. So the bolts went up for the connectors. So on how that structure works is you have your connection crew, which is receiving steel from the crane, bolting it in. Connection, they only put in 20% of the bolts so they can keep moving. Then bolt up crew comes behind them and puts in the rest of the bolts.
Sure.
And you have different size bolts depending on if it's column. Like, you got to get it right, because when the inspectors come through, they'll be like, that one's got to go, whatever. And then after bolt up crew is torque crew. But torque crew has to wait for plumbing, and they put this. And when I say plumbing, I don't mean pipe, like water and stuff. It's checking if the columns are plumb. So
different kind of plumbing.
Yeah, they hook this. It's this long pole with a magnet on the end, and it's got this gauge that hangs from the magnet down the side of the column. And then they use steel cable and they bind it down on whatever direction they need that column to bend or go before we torque everything down.
Nice.
And then below them is the steel decking crew. So before concrete goes in, they put this steel decking down that has these angular ridges in them like that the concrete, I guess, binds to. And so they got to sling that, and you got to tack it down, and all the bolts have to go in. and torque before they come through. So like ironworking, you have connectors, bolt up, torque, plumbing, all the hardware stuff, and then decking, and then the people drilling the holes in the deck for all the other bullshit.
Right.
And then you got welders going in and coming through and beefing up all the joints and everything. And but bolt up, like you could be stuck in this one position and you got to carry your buckets up and then you got to carry them out onto the steel. So now you're walking out on a beam this wide with a 5-gallon bucket in each hand, walking one way out. So once you work through all your bolts, you already have one out there. And then once you're up there, you just ask the crane in between as the riggers rig stuff up down on the ground. They'll send you, if the crane operator's cool, they'll send you up more bolts, so you don't have to come all the way down and go get them when you're like 10 stories deep.
Can I ask you something? When you're walking up there with those buckets, I assume you have fall protection on.
Yeah, so you either have a yo-yo or your pin cables. So yo-yo is attached to some sort of we think like a ratchet strap material, and it is hooked to a column above some sort of stopping point so it can't slide down. But that's just safety precaution because the tension, the yo-yos are like 20 pounds themselves, so like this big. Right. And you have like 20 footers, 50 footers. I didn't use them because if you fall and you're extended out, say you're working over here and your yo-yo is attached here, if you fall, it's going to swing you into that column. And I've seen guys do it. One guy, a very experienced guy, we were standing on decking and he stepped in a hole. Like he didn't even see it. It looked like he just walked off and he fucking swung. Bong. Dang. Sounded like a gong, like a deep bell when he smacked into this column. Hard hat saved his face, but he cracked a rib. Sure. He swung in right into the eye of the I-beam. And I was like, oh shit. So I prefer pin cables.
I feel like that would be like today an OSHA violation to have anything even like that. Because I've been through like so much OSHA training and like they talk about that, like where you're anchoring your arrest system, like to prevent you from doing exactly what you said.
Like on decking, you have to use a yo-yo for the most part because the pin cables go around the column you're walking on. Go around the beam you're walking on. The next beam up's like 15 foot. Right. So like you can't reach it. So yo-yos are meant for like if you're on. So here's the rule, if I remember correctly. Even if you have decking down on the size of a football field, if you don't have steel cable, which welders have to stop and do, they have to weld the posts in, they make the post, drill the holes, weld the posts up, and run the steel cable and have a perimeter, you have to be tied off. Yeah. Even if you're not within 100 foot of an edge, you have to be tied off. Now, the steel decking was down, but they had to cut out a section because the welders had to come in and do some work in this one part, so there was a hole. So he was tied off to a yo-yo on the column because they were hooking in another column, and when he fell, it swung him back to the column he was attached on. Right. Whereas, when you're on open steel, you're typically pin cabled off. So you have two pin cables. You have one you're connected to, and then when you have to, say you get to a joint, and you have to go from this one to this one, you hook up to this one, then disconnect on this one. And then you keep moving. Yeah. And you just kind of, once you get good at it, you can kind of add some swag to it. You just kind of and whip it under and catch it and then hook it in and then make it look cool. But just traversing them, it takes time. And then like we've got violations. Like I got yanked up because I left something out on the steel at the end of the day, and it was like 20 foot. It was like 20 foot out there. Steel decking was down, but one side wasn't cabled off. Sure. One side, and it was the opposite end. I wasn't in anywhere near harmed. I would have had to. There's no physically possible way that I would have fallen off that structure. Ran out 20 foot, grabbed, might be my lunchbox or water bottle or something. I don't remember. Grabbed it. Safety guy saw me from like 50 yards away down on the ground.
Dang. Fucking safety guys.
You can't come back on the steel tomorrow. You were not tied off. I was like, are you fucking serious? Because if I'd have tied off, that'd have been an extra, like, I don't know, 2 minutes. I'd had to go. I'd had to put my harness back on. And I had to, like, it just, I was like, fuck this. There's no way I'm not in any danger, but safety, like, and then, like, if you're coming off the steel, like, it's an old ironworker trick. We'll climb up the I-beams, wedge our feet in and shimmy up it or slide down it. Man, if they see you do that nowadays,
Oh yeah, dude, I can
and we
tell
still
you.
do, they still do it.
I can tell you so many stories of oilfield, man. Oilfield's changed a lot too. I've fallen out of a derrick. I was tied off, thankfully, with an arrest system similar to your yo-yo. Yeah, it still scared the shit out of me, but I didn't fall very far, thankfully. But yeah, we used to do a lot of, like, we out in the oil field, they call it Western, right? You get fucking Western, where you just go balls to the wall. You know, do all kinds of, like, I used to ride the blocks up to to the board. You can't do that shit anymore. They will fucking shut you down. But I mean, it's gotten so crazy here. I remember here in Colorado, I don't know, it's been a decade ago now, but there was one operator out here, an E&P, which are the ones that own the oil rights, which most, like, drilling rigs and frac companies work for. They got so strict. We had a truck driver on their location. He'd started the day with his hoodie under his hard hat. He took his hard hat off to pull the hood off and put his hard hat back on. Banned for life from any of their locations. Yeah. Nuts.
That's crazy.
Super crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Because their policy is his hard hat on at all times on their property, and he took it off.
For a second. Just to put a hood down.
And he was probably out in, like, there was nothing that could have fallen on him from anywhere.
They so we'd be on, like, say we got the decking down all the way up top, and then we were going through and setting up the top to button up. We wouldn't, even though we didn't have it rope, cabled off, we'd fucking drop our shit so we could move freely without having to, and it just moved way faster. But what was cool, because everyone knows the stereotypical, like, super loud Latino whistle, right? So, like, when the safety guys were coming up the stairs to inspect, you'd hear them going, like, you learn the whistle, and then you'd run off and fucking tie off real quick, and then the safety guys would pop up, look around. There was a couple times where I ran across steel beams without decking or anything. One was like a lightning strike, and it was on the previous building that was built. It struck the antenna, which was like, I could throw a rock and hit it.
Jesus.
And it fucking cracked. And I said, I was probably like 20 yards from any, like, thing that wasn't beam or skeleton structure. So I fucking yanked up my pin cable and fucking ran across the steel beam around the column. I had like 4 sections to cross, and I just straight up, like a cartoon, like, tiptoed running across these steel beams, probably like 150 feet up from the ground.
That's nuts, dude.
Like, no attachment, nothing. And you probably saw 20 people doing it.
Right.
Like, just, we're gone.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, I mean, dude, industrial work is crazy, man. It's, like you said, I mean, hard work. It's fun as shit. It's so
rewarding.
Fun. Like, it's so rewarding. It's rewarding in so many ways. And then, I mean, yeah, dude, we used to do shit. Like, I remember I had a job. There's a whole process to disassembly. If you ever driven out in, like, oil field area, and there's, like, those pump jacks, right? You got to take what's called the horse's head off in order to get the derrick up to the wellhead. And we were in, like, this like sideways freaking, like, sleet and rain, just wind howling, and we were about done for the day. We were going to call it because the weather, and the company man out there who we were working for is like, he's like, well, I'll buy you pizza and beer tomorrow if you guys get this done today. And I remember like, but fuck it, dude, let's do it, man. And I'm like out on a, you know, my harness and on a winch line, like just getting pelted and getting that shit done. And at the end, man, it was just like, fuck yeah. Like we did something that was probably dangerous, but also like pretty incredible. Because I mean, those things have a big flat side, right? I mean, so it's like the wind's like all over the place, and so it just took like you had to muscle that fucker on, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, gets in your blood. I love the shit out of it.
Yeah, there's nothing manlier than being able to tell a 20,000-pound steel beam what to do.
Yeah.
When you're hanging 300 foot up in the air, steel beams dangling from a crane, and you got to get to line up with 12 different fucking holes.
Yeah.
And at that point, no one on this planet is strong enough. So it's a combination of strength and finesse, and being able to know which tool to use when, know when to use your guide pin and the cheater bar and spud wrench, and how to line the holes in to get the first. They would have these bolts with really thick threads that we hung from our belt. And what it was it was a big thread so you could spin the cap on the nut on real fast.
Sure.
And that was how we get, once we got a hole line, we'd run that in real quick. We'd ram the spud wrench in, pry with that, and then tap that out with the hammer, and then run that cheater bolt in, tighten that down a little bit to kind of cinch up the beam, and then put our 20% bolts in, pull the cheater bolt out, and then move on. So it was like this little thing we had. But I'll tell you what, Strongman came in handy between carrying bolts, the tools. The torque gun was like 30 pounds, and I was able to hang, upside down, reach out over my head, and hold this 30-pound gun out and cock my wrist and get it up underneath a column and do shit in weird angles that some people couldn't do. When Javier, the dude that I told you fell, when he was dangling, I was right there, and I immediately ran over, wrapped my hand around that steel cable, and just started pulling a dude up in full kit, which is probably, I would say he was probably like 190 pounds plus tools. He was probably around 200 pounds. That strongman strength and being able to know how to brace and pull correctly came in handy at reeling him in. And then once I got my hand on him, I pulled him up over that steel, no problem. And of course, everyone's crowding around. It's like, give him room. I immediately got the vest on. I'm like, can you wiggle your toes? Like, some of my training from the being in Blackhawks kicked in. I'm like, can you wiggle your toes? Can you feel your hands? Like, I'm thinking back injury. I immediately looked to see if there's any bleeding. I saw he had kind of like a bruise starting where that you could see where he struck that eye beam. I'm like, does it hurt to breathe? He's like, if I take a big breath, it hurts. I'm like, you probably have a broken rib, but you can breathe okay. He goes, yeah. I'm like, because now I'm thinking punctured lung. I'm not a medical guy, but like, I've been around, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Chaotic urgent care situations like that in the military and kind of seen and learned, and everyone kind of gets frantic, and you just need to slow everyone down, smooth as fast, like, give this guy room. He's going to be fine. Like, let's get him down off the steel. And he was okay. He was back to work in like 3 weeks, but it shook him because he was a pretty experienced connector before that. But he went right back up, and he just moved a little slower for a while. But it's like falling off a bike, man. If you don't ever get back on it, that fear will win all day long. And one of the other guys fell, and he went straight to rigging. He was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Good. I mean, dude, it takes a lot. Our rigs were only 90 feet at the top. And it still was like, there's a fear factor you have to get over no matter what. We used to have to, like, so on the board, you had a lanyard to the back, and you would just lean out, right? Mm-hmm. So it like took a lot to get used to. Once you do it, man, it's like, And
I was nowhere near the most experienced guy out there. Like, there was guys out there that were doing stuff like with their eyes closed. Like, some of those connectors, man, they were just like spider monkeys. Like it was pretty incredible to watch. Like there'd be times where like when I was just learning and I was on bolt up, and I was kind of getting my bearings of kind of being by myself, working on the open steel, moving around with heavy things and weird positions before I got my chance to do connection. Like I remember there'd be times I'd just be kind of looking up and watching them going to just being that sponge, just absorbing, watching how they work the tools. Cause you kind of do similar stuff when you're on bolt up, you kind of, they might've got the top 4 bolts in, but there's 12 more under it that aren't lining up. So, okay, I got to loosen these up, stick my spud wrench in, pry it down on it, run a bolt in the bottom. So now we're lined top and bottom. So everything in the middle should line up. So it's like, it's knowing where to do things, timing, things like that. And it's kind of like strongman. Like you learn how to do it, and then you learn how to be good at it.
Right.
And I mean, it's with anything really.
Dude, absolutely, man. It's like practice makes perfect, right? It's repetition. Like everything in life is repetition. If you want to be good at something, even my calculus instructor in college said, if you want to be, he said, stop trying to understand why the formula works and just do it a million times. Like then you're going to be good, and then it'll all make sense. It's like you got to do it like a lot, repetition in order to be
calculus. Sounds terrifying. I'll go stand 300 feet in the air on a steel beam this wide, but you put me in a room with calculus.
I know, man.
No,
I did terribly at math.
Once you get the basics down, it's easy. It's not that hard.
Our teacher, for some reason, I just had a bad issue with math teachers. And algebra 2 in high school, we got into some sort of disagreement because there was a test and you needed to show your work. And I realized that 2 of the answers were just 3, 4, 5 triangles. So I didn't need to show my work. I just did the mental math. And for some reason, she was like, no, you have to show your work. We got into a fight, and she said I couldn't be in the class anymore. So my school paid for me to do remote learning during that time.
So you were too smart for the class.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
I was like, no. I was like, but yeah, it was a weird thing because I also had to finish Spanish at a community college because she said she wouldn't teach me another year. So I don't know. I told Andy several times. She's like, how many teachers just said they wouldn't deal with you? And I was like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm that unreasonable. But my parents said
I pulled the chair out from me underneath a teacher in 7th grade.
Nice.
Ooh. Yeah, he went to sit down, and I was like,
he probably deserved it. If we're being honest,
he was actually my favorite teacher.
Oh,
we're actually friends to this day.
Nice.
And he turned red, bald head, turned super red, and stands up, and he goes, hallway. And I was like, yep. He didn't even finish sentence, and I walked right out. And standing out there, he goes, are you fucking kidding me? You pulled the chair from underneath a teacher? Are you kidding me? Like, as mad could get. And it made him even madder that he knew, like, I knew he wanted to punch me. Like, I knew I would have punched me. And so fast forward, post high school, post military and stuff. My best friend since 7th grade, who was also a student, played varsity baseball he was the varsity high school coach for baseball. And my homie played baseball. They went undefeated, won state championships that year. He goes on to pitch D1 at ECU, comes back, and eventually becomes the coach, and coaches with Weinberner is his name. And Mr. Weinberner, me and Brandon are still friends to this day. And somehow we got to talking about it. So I still see him. He goes to the gym that I train out of.
Nice.
He's like, if there was ever a student I could have punched, it was you for that one moment. I was like,
that's awesome, man. I only say that he probably deserved it because I had some teachers that were just fucking assholes when I was in school. Like just straight
plenty
up
of those
dicks.
he was cool, and it was history, like social studies, so history, which I liked. So like I liked the class, like the teacher. Like I was just like, if there's anyone I can fuck around and find out with, it's him. So like that's what I did.
That's awesome.
And it's just funny that we're like friends and communicate to this day.
Sure.
And I see him like almost on a daily basis at the gym. But yeah, not one of my best moments. But
yeah, we've all had those, man.
That's true.
We've all made, especially young, man. I used to do some stupid shit when I was a teenager, late teens and early 20s, man. Like, yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, I often wonder how I survived my youth. When I got a license, I grew up in just BFE, like nowhere, rural ass, like not a metropolitan area anywhere, any direction within 750 miles, right? So we drank a lot in high school, like a lot. And I couldn't tell you the number of times that I drove drunk, and also the number of times that I'm driving at night or driving behind another vehicle on a dirt road, big dust cloud, can't see, come to a T in the road, don't even know it's there, and just drive straight. And fortunately, every time was into a flat field and not a drop off. Yeah, dude, I did stupid shit. And I probably shouldn't have survived, if we're honest.
It's hard though, when you don't have purpose sometimes. Like school, at least for me, was so hard to like feel like I had a direction in life.
Yeah, it was about everything in between. I feel like a lot of kids, like a lot of my friends, like I knew friends that got away with shit like what Darren was just saying, like, and it's wild. Like I had my license a month. I was on my provisionals. I had a 96 Tahoe, and there's this roundabout behind this other high school in town, and there was a big mulch bed, and I had one of my buddies up in town, and so I was like, hold on, we're jumping this thing, and I fucking gun it. And 96 Tahoe, it's got a 350 in it. I straight piped it, glass pack, the loudest shit for no reason. Right. And I fucking slam it back down into third with the column shifter and fucking punch it. Whoa, and launch. Dukes of Hazzard. My wheels probably 5 foot in the air. Like I soared. Midair, cop comes over the hill. I see headlights. We bounce. His lights come on. I was like, shit. There was no one around. He just happened to be coming that direction. Pulls us out. So we pull over into this parking lot. There was no place to pull over. So we kept going around the turn, then pulled in the parking lot. I rolled the windows down, shut the truck off, waited for the cop. He comes pulling in. Get out of the car. We're like, Jesus. So we're 16. We've got tobacco in the car. So we're like, oh shit, hide the chew. Like,
hide the chew. Oh,
yeah. And so we get out. He's like, put your hands up. Put our hands up. We're like, what the? All I could see was spotlight. I couldn't tell if he had his gun drawn, nothing. So we're like, oh shit. Like, I didn't know this was that big of a deal. He thought us going that far and then turning into the school and shutting our lights off, he thought we were running. And I was like, sir, with all due respect, if I was running, you'd have heard it. This thing's straight piped. Like you'd have just heard a 350. Like a 350 makes if you've ever heard one with a straight pipe, it's like, a Mustang when you hear it, a Power Stroke when you hear it, that 350 when you hear it. I'm like, you'd have heard it a mile away. And so we get out, he goes, I don't know whether to smack the shit out of you or be impressed. He goes, I've never seen a truck that high in the air. I was like, let's go with impressed. So I go to court and...
Well, he wasn't impressed then if you had to go to court.
Nope, I go to court. And they reduced it to failure to acknowledge a correctly placed traffic device. And they gave me 6 months PBJ. And I was just like, it's a bonehead move. It won't happen again. And Yeah, that could have gone way worse, but it made for a cool story. So, but
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
said, that's what being a teenager is for. Just getting rowdy, making stories, making memories, committing a felony here and there. It's no big deal.
I've
'Cause you
never
feel like
committed
you're
any
invincible.
felonies.
Yeah.
You've never smashed a mailbox.
No, I never did that. My brother did all that shit. My brother went and smashed mailboxes. He stole like a magazine vending machine one time. Like, and he just went and tied a chain to it and just drug it down fucking Main Street. And then took it to the river and like threw it in the river. But he got busted for it because everybody fucking seen it, right?
We used to put the little quarter sticks of dynamite in people's mailboxes we didn't like.
Nice.
What are they, M80s?
M80s.
Yeah, we used to boom. You'd see fucking mailbox going.
That's hilarious, man.
We used to do all kinds of ignorant stuff. We used to knock on their door. We'd fill their trash can up with water, lean it up against an inward opening door. And if we knew if it was someone we didn't like or someone that like fucked with us or whatever, we lean against their knock, ding dong ditch them, and then they'd open the door and they'd get like fucking 10 gallons of water, just jump into their house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Dude, I think like a big trash can. Those are
like the big green ones with the wheels.
So they would tip. Of water, dude. Not 10.
Whatever. We used to fill them bitches up with their own hose.
That's amazing.
What's the other thing? We go to Taco Bell when they had the like you could buy like 40 tacos in a giant box or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we'd hide in the tree line. And as cars would come by, we'd pop up and we'd throw the taco. When you throw the taco, the tortilla shell opens like a shotgun wad, and all the filling just goes over the windshield.
Dude, that's how you kill people. There was some kids. So where I grew up, where I was born and raised. My mom's house was just like I-25, the interstate. And again, this is like BFE, right? Rural ass fucking America. But you could go out. And my brother and I, when we were little, we'd stand over there when the trucks would drive by. We'd like, get them to honk their horns.
Yeah.
Right. Well, these motherfuckers, I don't know. I don't feel like it was that long ago, but some millennial fucks or something. I don't know. No offense to you guys. Decide to go out and fucking drop the rock.
Ooh.
Fucking hit somebody's windshield.
Jesus. That's crazy.
So we never did anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there was some homeless guy who was doing that in Austin like a few years back, like 2017.
And he
did it. Yeah. Or because he did it on I-35. So it was like the real fast toll roads. And our speed limits are like in their 80s sometimes. Like he was doing that. And apparently it was just like some homeless guy. So that's the crazy thing. It's like
you've got like basically 140 mile an hour rock coming at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's fucking stupid. These were kids. Yeah. They weren't homeless.
Oh,
they were
yeah.
Kids. They might have actually been a later generation too. I don't know.
Did you know the invisible rope trick?
No.
We're going to learn.
So you put one person on each side of the road and you both bend down and act like you're picking up a rope, and then you both sit back and pull.
Everybody slams on their brakes.
The cars would come to a stop. They'd be like, and we'd hold. And then they'd be like, some people be like, you got me. Like, that was funny. And then go about the business. But one guy got out. Like, what the fuck are you kids doing? Starts kicking, starts jumping up and down. There's like nothing there, like freaking out. And we just giggle and laugh and run away. The other thing we did was 3-man slingshot off of the roof at cars going by with water balloons. But where we fucked up is we didn't buy water balloons. Whoever bought the balloons bought regular balloons, so they weren't popping because they're filled nowhere near to capacity. So now this slingshot says do not shoot at humans, shoots upwards of 100 miles an hour. And we are sending these like no arc. It's like thud, wham. And we hit this red Toyota Camry. Hits the side of the bumper underneath the headlight, and it pops it off. Like it's like boom, and then it was dangling on the ground.
Dang.
And I was like, oh fuck. I turn, I run, I jump off the roof. I hit, roll, take off to the tree line. I look back. My other 3 idiot friends are like scrambling down the ladder. And they didn't pull in nothing. We fucking bounced out to the tree line and nothing came of it, but we're definitely asking for it for sure.
Fuck yeah.
Because like, who's looking up on a roof when you're driving by? And people fly on that road, so like no one's looking. So they probably collided. It was more like we only did it to super fast driving cars because we were just tired of it. Like kids played on the road. It's a rural back road at the time,
Right.
so it was like fuck you, slow down, and that was our extreme answer to driving like a dickhead on it. And it was funny for us, and probably looking back, not ideal.
Yeah. Not
But
the optimal
whatever.
answer.
When people drive that fast in like places where kids, because people
That
do that all
pisses
the
me
time
off.
on like, because we have the road behind us comes straight to like the big road, then it's like the offshoot. People all the time will go like 60, 70, like they're going super fast. And you're like, people can turn out, there's kids, like why, where are you going with this and stuff? Like what could you possibly like, as someone who's gotten multiple speeding tickets, I tried my best not to speed in residential areas. Like in my mind, the highway, no one's around you. There's no speed limit, but there is if cops are hiding under underpasses, which they'll get you almost every time.
There's no speed limit as long as you never get caught.
Exactly.
That's laws in general, though.
I can count on one hand how many speed tickets I've gotten, but I behave in my truck, but my bike I just don't stop. So I just downshift, accelerate, and once like on 70, like it's a popular it's a 70 mile an hour speed limit, and it's pretty wide open. And like bikes kind of cruise at 120, and cops just like they don't. It's like we're minding our business. They don't like. They're like, there's no point in. They'll just look at you go by. They don't even try for a bike, because on a road like that, like by the time you downshift and accelerate, by the time they put it in a park, you've got a quarter mile, like, and it's only going to gap further. And like the times I've done,
and I mean, all you need to do is just weave in and out of like between cars, and like they can't get you anymore.
Yeah, and like at those days, there's not a lot of traffic to weave in and out, so you can pretty much just flat out.
Sure.
And there's just no way they're going to catch you. Like, don't ask me how I know this, but at 180 mile an hour plus, you're doing about 300 foot a second. So like theoretically, if I'm going that fast, I'm not saying I go that fast, but I'm saying if I were to go that fast, by the time I pass them and they put it in, the time it takes them to put it in drive, flip their lights on, wait for a chance to pull out, I've probably almost gapped a mile. Because we're talking 300, 600, 900, 1,000, 1,200, like, boom. Every second that passes, that's 300 feet. Like, people don't realize how fast that is. I'm not saying I know how fast that is. But people don't realize when you're going that fast how slow everything's moving.
I don't think they'll bust you just for saying you went 180 miles an hour, Nick.
Oh, I've gone faster than that. We've got almost a 200 horsepower, sub 400 pound death trap in the garage.
That's crazy. I used to get warnings all the time and stuff. Like, and the older I get, the more tattoos and the weirder I look. I just don't get.
Everybody's got that warnings friend that only gets warnings.
Yeah,
they never get a fucking ticket. They'd be like, I was doing 30 over, got a warning.
Yeah, because Andy, one of the first arguments we ever had was we were driving back from Philadelphia, and I was just tired and super late, so I was just going like 76, apparently in a 55, and we get pulled over. The cop comes up and he was like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" I was like, "No, I'm just super tired. We're trying to get home." And he just ends up giving me a warning, and he's like, "So you need to switch with your friend so he can drive, and I'll follow you guys to the nearest 7-Eleven, and I have to see you guys get coffee and drink it before I let you go." And Andy, of course, has always only ever gotten tickets.
Did you say he had to see you drink it?
Yeah, he was weird about it. And
That's
everything. The whole thing is very strange. Yeah, no, and Andy
weird
was
as
like,
shit.
Yeah, Andy was weirded out by it because she was like, as a black woman, I get a ticket every single time. And I was like, cops are always super nice to me, except the older I get, I guess I'm just like not good at my game, because my last ticket would have been last year. I was going 77, I think, in a 65. And the cop pulled me over and he was like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" And I was like, "I don't know. I was on my phone." I don't know why I said that right away. And he was like, "Okay, so I'll write you a $300 fine." Like, I was like, in my mind, for some reason, I was like, "No, I don't know how fast I was going. I was on my phone." Like,
if I ever murder someone and you're an accomplice, I'm killing you too.
I know. I was
Like, there's no way I'm trusting you as an alibi. Like, there's like,
where were you yesterday, John?
You're
Just
getting
murdering, like,
you're getting the
helping
business
Nick bury
too,
a
dog.
body.
There's no way that self-incrimination with for something that simple.
I know. I thought it was just like a weird instinct of just like, also apparently I just like, because they refused to believe last time I flew back from Minneapolis, they refused to believe that I matched my license. And I thought I was pretty passive and stuff. Like, I got a little bit upset, but my wife, she said, apparently I got more than just a little upset, because the guy who's like, "This doesn't look like you." I tried pulling out my Google photos, trying to be like, "This is my wife. We have matching Texas tattoos, like same address." Like, what? Why? So he calls his supervisor over, who was like, I guess trying to be nice to see if I had a backup thing. He was like, "Well, do you have a passport?" And I was like, "Why the fuck would I have a passport?" I don't know why I used that language. Andy was like, right away, she was like, "You escalated." Like, so I ended up having to go through 4 different things of management till finally they like looked something up and they're like, "Okay, you're good to go." And I was like, later, I was like,
have a passport.
"Yeah,
That's crazy.
I think that's a
really
reasonable
sound-
response to such
true.
a stupid question. I mean,
in
honestly.
my mind, it is." But Andy, she was like, when you're talking to like TSA agents who are smaller than you and you're just being like kind of a dick, like it comes across bad. I was like, we're in a airport, like it'll be fine. But I realized like I need to like moderate it, because like I instantly get like super frustrated with TSA or police officers now. And it's like, you can't do that, especially when you, they don't like this look anymore. They let, when I look super nerdy like
Who are
Harry
you
Potter,
telling? I look like
they
I'm
like
Al
that.
Qaeda in the summer when I get tan.
Yeah, because there are certain looks that just don't go over well.
I shaved my head and flew to France a week after 9/11. And I remember in the Charles de Gaulle airport, it's like super controlled at the time because they're responding to 9/11, right? And I'm walking and there's not a lot of people around except for this woman and her small children, like 3 or 4 little kids. And she looks up at me and her eyes just like bulge. And she's just like, you can just see the fear in her eyes. And she like huddles all her kids together. And I'm like,
You're too damn big to be a terrorist.
What's that?
You're too damn big to be a terrorist.
But I was bald headed and probably looked like a skinhead, honestly. I didn't think that through very well. But yeah, I don't know what she was thinking, but she was scared out of her mind. You could just see how frightened she was.
Heroin.
Yeah, probably have some
little keister move.
Probably have some big old balloons up my rear end that might explode and kill me at any moment.
It's still just crazy to me that the TSA just didn't exist for like the longest time, and now it's like flying just gets worse every year, and it's just like this huge thing.
The crazy thing, though, again, like flying a week after 9/11 to France, their security was like on super high alert. Like they had National Guard, right, well armed, heavily armed in the airport, controlling traffic, doing regular checks. Like when I left, they were opening your luggage, right, going through everything right in front of you. And I get back to the United States, and they're like, "Hi, welcome back." Walked right through. It was nuts.
That's
crazy. Like I was stationed right by the border of Canada in upstate New York, right off Lake Ontario at Drum. And then, I don't know about now, but you could show your military ID and they know there's a base right there. And you could, as long as you had that, your birth certificate or your passport plus the ID.
Why the fuck did you have a passport?
Huh?
Sorry. So why the fuck do you have a passport? Sorry, carry on.
We'd go through the border, and going into Canada was like no big deal, but always coming back into America, like, and my buddy Alcy, he was born in St. Lucia, like he's technically a St. Lucia citizen, but he's active duty Army. They're like, oh well, some was up with his papers and they wouldn't let him back in. They're like, he is literally working for the same department you are Department of Defense, and you're not letting this dude in the country.
That's crazy, dude.
Like, it was like, just by that concept alone, there's 4 other soldiers in the truck. Like, it's like, just read the room. Like, we get you trying to do your job, but like, let's be honest, you've got an NCO, you've got and like 4 specialists, like you've got 4 military IDs, and one dude's paper was iffy because he's from another country, so we got held up for like 2 hours trying to get they almost took like our car and shit. It was wild. It was like, now you're just being a dick. Like,
yeah, man. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, you used to be able to go to Canada just with your driver's license pre 9/11. Yeah, and then whenever all that shit actually finally changed, you needed a passport not to get into Canada but to get back into your own fucking country.
Yes. Speaking of Fort Drum, I just got to pull a helicopter.
I saw that, man.
Yeah, I got to pull an Apache.
That was badass.
That was, honestly, weight wise, it wasn't as hard to break as like a fire truck or something, but it was harder to keep moving because aircraft use nitrogen tires. So
Sure.
even full air, they're still soft, because you got to think when they're taxiing, there's still even though the wheels are in contact, there's a little bit of lift from the rotor system to allow them to ground taxi.
Sure.
So like, it was kind of like a sled pull on a rubber mat. Like, you could only build so much momentum, and it was just, it was 120. The guy I was like, let's do like 60 foot. That's the usual. He's like, well, the rope's 120 foot long. I was like,
don't be a bitch.
So like, I broke it, started chugging. I started speeding. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. And I got it about the halfway mark, and I looked up, and I was like, fuck. Because like, you weren't really building that much momentum, so you're just digging the whole time.
Sure.
And I would say I was probably at about 70% by the time I reached the end. Legs were a little untrustworthy. Needed some oxygen, but it was a pretty cool experience, mainly because that was the flight line where flight all started for me. And then I come back and I pull an airframe across, like past met present type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool. We filmed a documentary with the Army on the H2F program, which is kind of going to bring us full circle about what we were talking earlier, about not having access to proper avenues to rehab and rehabilitate. Now, the Army's implemented a program called the H2F, and it is gym facilities, training facilities. The one at the CAB, which means Combat Aviation Brigade, where I was at 10th Mountain, is a state of the art. It is so nice. They've got swagged out racks, bumper plates, like not the super thick ones, like the metal ring in the middle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like the reds, yellows,
like the Rogue brand. Are they Rogue?
Yeah.
Rogue
no,
are super nice, man.
They might be Sornax.
Okay.
I don't remember what brand they were.
Comparable,
but they were slick.
Yeah.
And within that facility, you've got strength and conditioning coaches, physical therapy, dietitians, and athletic training. So now when you go to sick call, you can go in there 9 to 5 and get on a program. You don't have to be hurt. You can go in there and train.
Nice.
They do classes. This facility uses Strongman implements. The director of that facility, Mark Taysom, he's got like a little Strongman club up there. He's competed at like USS Nationals, just a lover of the sport of Strongman.
Yeah, name sounds familiar.
He's taught all them. He has the strength conditioning coaches competing at local shows near Rochester, Buffalo, in the Northeast area. They're all hooked on it, which was really cool. So the title of this is going to be Strong is Ready. And It's to show the correlation of being physically fit in a readiness training and how the PT standard has the Army has a history of the PT standard just being all over the fucking place and no real plan and not giving guys a shot to get out in a healthy manner. Like for a while, it was 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes sit-ups, 2 mile run. That was your test. Now it's got a plethora of things, including a trap bar deadlift, like a backwards medicine ball throw, 2-mile run still there. But one thing that I saw that was already drastically different was how you have height and weight class. That's people who fail height and weight, people who are fat. And typically the answer was their chain of command just random, get them lose weight cardio. But what happens when you're overweight and you're just constantly doing impact? You're gonna smoke these dudes back, their joints. Yeah. You're gonna break the soldier. So what they did was they had them in there on rowers, ski ergs, air assault bikes, sled drags, tire flips, all this sandbag carries, keg loads, like all this other stuff, farmers carries, and they were doing stuff that didn't require high impact, but more so time under tension, duration, cardio, like the sled drags, the battle ropes, things like that. Just completely revamped how these guys are getting treated.
Nice.
And it was fucking awesome.
How's that diet being planned?
I mean, there's a dining facility on the airfield, and as an airfield soldier, it's closed on the weekends. So you've got to go over to main post, but I don't know what the Army's diet. They typically have proteins, carbs, and fats all in there, some sort of meat, some sort of vegetable, things like that. Pretty basic stuff, nothing crazy. And chow hall food gets a lot of hate, but like I lived on it. I didn't mind. But their dietitians will write a whole nutrition plan based on what your goal is, like to lose weight, to get stronger.
Yeah.
So they actually had me come out and I spoke to the in-processing soldiers. So new soldiers coming, H2F has a brief to let them know what it is, why it's available, why it's there. And as a former cab soldier that has these injuries, I kind of took the stance of like, look, I'm not here to say how necessarily great the Army is with this program. It's more so I'm you. I was you. And here's what I had to go through. Here's what you don't have to go through. And a real light bulb moment I had was this new LT Apache pilot came up to me the first time I did it afterwards and was like, hey, I have this shoulder issue. It's starting to affect my cyclic input, which is the joystick between your legs. And he goes, I haven't gone to sick call because I don't want to I want to fly. Like I'm still trying to build hours. And I'm like, I know that fear. Like I was you. I'm like, come with me, introduce him to the director. I got a text the following week from Mark saying, hey, that LT came in. We got him on a plan. Nice. So he went to sick call, told him what was going on, immediately went to chain of command, got into the H2F. They got him on a plan. And those PTs can order imagery. Unlike, at least here in this state, PTs can't. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's common anywhere.
Which is huge. It skips a lot of bullshit, a lot of BS. And it's of all the things the Army's struggling with retention and all these other issues and obesity and just a different type of human coming into the military than, 10 years ago. It's the one thing I think they're getting really, really right. And they're hoping within, the next 5 years, every Army installation has an H2F facility in every unit. So it's something that just kind of I found out about, fell into, and really wanted to, being that it was my old unit, Strongman's involved. I was like, I want the world to know about this. And we're editing it right now. There's going to be a long, probably around 30 minutes, however long it's going to be with everything we want in there. And it's going to go over a little bit of 10th Mountain history to kind of give you what is required of a soldier, right, to be ready.
Sure.
So it's going to start all the way at World War II, little brief glimpse there, 10th Mountain was involved with Black Hawk Down. They got those guys, they got those Rangers out of there. It's going to skip to that. Then it's going to skip to Afghanistan to kind of show you what is expected of aviators, light infantry, what is the standard and how it is now being changed. The method of achieving that standard, readiness and retention, is being changed with this program. And I'll be releasing some short stuff on Instagram about it, short clips, some interviews. I got to interview my former commander, who's now Brigadier General.
Nice.
And to talk about this stuff. And fortunately, there are some people that still give a shit within the military that really are making this happen. And these strength coaches, they don't get commission; they make their pay. So the people that are doing this are doing it because that's what they want to do. And for soldiers to have access to something like that is, I mean, life changing. It would have changed my back outcome. I'd have known about it then. I wouldn't have been afraid to say something and go seek out help to get involved. And it's not just about being strong. Like they touch H12 stands for holistic health fitness. So they take a wellness approach to it. So that's where nutrition, mental health, all that stuff. And it's really cool, and I can't wait to show the world about it. And it was completely out of pocket. Had one sponsor, QRF Fit, which they do stuff for veterans, get veterans moving again, gym membership, shit like that. Pitch In is a sponsor. But I probably paid enough out of pocket to make this all happen. And I had a really dope film crew. Alex and Brad kind of want to be a part of this project. They're the guys that you see filming Ignition Source TV, filming all the dirt bike backflip shit I did. Right. They're dope. And they're like, yeah, this is a cool project. We just want to be a part of it. So it was fun. Got a trip down memory lane, and I got to I just hope to do it justice with what comes out. And the Blackhawk pool will be in there. We'll have a separate piece of content for that, or the Apache pool.
Right.
I'm really excited about it. So
hell yeah, man. Look, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic documentary. Definitely worth getting everybody's attention to, man. Love
I
it.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll freaking promote the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Dope.
Because I think that makes a big difference of like, I think sometimes there's a lot of talk about how people are softer these days and everything. But one upside of that is things have become a lot more holistic. Because like years ago, it was just like, there's no real consideration of like, at least it's real sad to realize that you're younger than I am. I don't know why everyone's 30 these days. You, Andrew Clayton, Mark, all these people. I'm like, it would be nice if people are older than I am. That's why Darren is always.
That's why I exist.
Dude, they had a sports psych there. Like they had a sports psych there.
Oh wow.
He's gotten off there, and we were chatting it up a bit, like asking about like he was kind of giving me a little Q&A, and then just in casual conversation about like where my head's at with competing and what it was like being a soldier. And it was cool because he just did that because of it's what he does. It's what he likes to do. And how could he essentially apply that to what he's doing at H2F? And I'm like, man, they've got some cool people up here. Yeah, man, it was a trip seeing that. It kind of like accidentally lit a fire under my ass when it was kind of just a passion project before. And then when that soldier approached me, I'm like, I got to someone. And that was a really cool fucking feeling, knowing that getting that text, like I potentially helped him change the course of whatever the outcome may have been had he not said something. I'm like, cool. That's one person that doesn't have to deal with the shit and lose flying like I did. And that was worth it. Like this documentary bombs. God, I hope it doesn't. I got through to one soldier, and then I went back up 2 weekends ago for my former commander's promotion ceremony. I got an invite to a promotion to general, which is super cool. And they had me speak again and go in and help with the workouts for the soldiers and stuff. And I did a little seminar for the soldiers just because I wanted to. And the staff got like an hour where they could come in and ask strongman questions, whatever they were interested in. The soldiers, I gave them Q&As, got them on some implements, went over some breathing and bracing on how to, whether you're picking up a toolbox or a yoke, you need to brace the same. It was just, it was fun for me. And a soldier, after the in processing brief this time, another soldier came up to me and was talking how she was a track athlete. She's had this knee issue. The Army doctor's been kind of dismissing it at sick call. And I introduced her to the director, and I haven't heard anything what's came of that, but I hope like, you know, that she's getting the help she needs to kind of like be able to run again. Right.
Yeah.
Like, so like it's a cool experience. And it went from just, like I said, a passion project to like, man, I got through some people. I'm going to see where that goes.
Right.
And it just feels good. Just following that dopamine. Like,
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Because that is like super helpful and everything. Because I think there is like, and we've talked about it in other episodes and stuff, that idea of like trying to address the whole individual and like getting to root causes. Because at least like when I was like middle school, high school, especially, like anytime there was any sort of pain, they're like, let's just eliminate the pain. So it's Percocet, Vicodin, or Oxycontin. Like pre-06, like that was the answer to literally everything, rather than what's causing the pain, what's like the root cause of this. And I know for a lot of my friends and stuff over the years, like that stuff was just devastating. The people who got on painkillers and stuff, because like you hurt your back, that's just what you're going to do. It's just like Oxy 40s or whatever, like whatever you needed every day. And it's like that stuff just like, for one, just destroys people. And I think it's interesting, like trying to think of that like holistic thing, because especially if you're struggling with retention and bringing people on, you don't want to just like be chewing people up and just spitting them out and everything. So 100%. I think that makes a huge difference. And it is that idea of like reaching out to people, because it is a life-changing thing. You think anytime I have a chance to like talk to people about certain things, of like being like, I wish someone would have told me this when I was just like not handling stuff correctly at 19 and stuff, because you don't realize how much that stuff just kind of accelerates. Of you're like, well, I just ignored this, I ignored it, until eventually you just like have a very serious injury that could have been solved by having someone responsible. Because it's upsetting when you hear these stories of doctors just being like, I don't think this is a thing. Like, I think you're making a big deal about this. And it's like the average person, especially in like the circumstance like that, they're making a deal and listening to their body, and you should listen to that, rather than this kind of thing of people will be like, well, like it doesn't seem like anything's wrong. We ran an x-ray, and you're like, an x-ray is not going to show what's happening to something that's just muscular and stuff. Like, so I think that's really, it's a good mission and stuff. Like, it's crazy to think about that, to be able to kind of go back and like tell people who would have been in your situation, to like change the course of people's lives.
I mean, I've been fortunate enough to like, I've come across good coaching my entire strongman career. Like, you know, when I first picked up a stone, I was at a small gym called Muscle Mind, and Phil, I didn't know at the time how good of a starting point a 300-pound stone load was. Never 180 pounds, never touching anything like that before. I picked it up and loaded it.
That's an insane first time.
They just kind of kept like, stick with this. I'm like, whatever, I'll just do it till it's not fun anymore. And he wrote me like a little, like just like numbers and reps to shoot for. And that got me 2 months later, my first contest. Second contest, I meet Brian Alger. He's like, come out to Never State. He coached me into national title. Then I go with Terry Rady when I had those heart issues, because he had something very similar, and he was able to help me work through that. And then from there, I went to Max. Max got me to a world championship, man. And then I hurt my back. Well, I made my back worse. The disc finally tore. And at that time, we didn't really know, got imagery done. And Max, being who he is, he goes, hey, this is Tom Hibbert. He's kind of mentored me. He's a good friend. I'm going to hand you off to him, because I think he's better equipped to handle what you have going on right now than I do. And, you know, there's a big issue with coaching in the industry. Like they get onto someone, like call it popular or successful. They fucking like, they get onto them. And I didn't have people like that. They pushed me to grow. And now I'm with Tom, and we're attacking those issues, checking off boxes one by one. He's got me doing all sorts of homework. And it just comes down to having access to people that will listen to you, what you have going on, making adjustments. And all the way down from my physical therapist, my sports massage, my chiros, to my coach. They're all communicating. Like my PT and sports massage communicate. My PT relays everything to my coach. And my coach has people that helps him that are more experienced, like physicians and physical therapists on his end that help him kind of guide. He had me just do a video chat with someone like a week ago, a specialist. And they combine all that info from the professionals on my end and his end, and they develop a plan. Like that is the pinnacle of collaborating and people listening to someone that's listening to their body. And I don't think that should just be available to athletes. Like that's something like, why would you not want your fighting force dangerous, ready to go, strong? Like, so it's like, I think it's awesome that these soldiers have access to stuff that would cost them thousands of dollars a month at the tip of their fingers for free, 9 to 5.
We lost Darren. It's like his internet sometimes is on the fritz.
Oh,
and everything.
But yeah,
yeah, like you were saying, that's a huge thing because that really is like thousands of dollars worth. He's back, grainy but back. Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Oh yeah, now we can hear you.
That was weird.
That was weird.
That was weird. That was suspicious. Okay. Do you guys know where that's from?
What'd you say?
Do you guys not know that?
I didn't hear
weird.
You.
I feel like it was a famous Vine a while back.
It's Cardi B like being weird as shit.
I would not know that reference. And you know what? I'm proud.
I know nothing about her except for that video.
So that is something. The fact that you knew about a pop culture thing that neither of us were
only
aware of.
That I know.
And you're the older one in the group.
Yeah,
it's true.
I've been around longer. I know more things than you guys.
Yeah, around the big old block.
Yeah, as you get older, those things just kind of add up. Yeah, and everything. But before you dropped off, Nick was talking about you said like to have things that would cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I think so much of this like soldiers and stuff like. I mean, we can go down a unfathomably deep rabbit hole of healthcare in this country, and why it's so hard for people to get access to things like that. And it's set up in a system that's designed to make money versus treat the patient. You know what I mean? Versus you flip that and put an environment of, I forget the statistic that the HTF is doing, but I believe there's like a return to duty rate or something of the sort. I have to look at it. He sent me a whole spread where it's like increased by like 40% in 2 years. So they're making an impact, and the impact I've seen it done. And luckily, Plain Sports Massage and True Sport PT, they sponsor me. Not everyone's that fortunate. And, but I don't know why like healthcare is so hard to convince on physical therapy and things like sports massage, because they've saved my ass. Like, and one of the PTs, Derek, he went down to OSG this year to make sure, if anything happened, like I had someone there to kind of keep me in the fight as best as they could. And not only that, he worked on who's, that's my homie. We stay together, we sit next to each other, like we were both coached by Max. And like that's the homie. So the fact that Derek was like, yeah, let's go. He was working on as well. And he was having fun because he likes what he does. And like, that's when I was like, those are the type of people we need in this world that people need access to, because he's there because he wants to. He wasn't getting paid. He just wanted to come down. He wanted to be in the environment. He wanted to see it in person. He wanted to get his hands on, and athletes, and he was there for everything we needed. And then Katie with Plain Sports Massage, she's relentless. Like I'll text her to like, if I get done, say I train late, it's like 7 p.m. I'm like, hey, felt this in training. She's like, boom, okay. She's got, you know, Annette, who specializes in sports stretching. Jake's very well rounded. CJ, she specializes in deep tissue. Uh, Katie, she's good with the different methods of scraping and cupping and stuff. And she's learned that too intense cupping, my body doesn't respond to. Like, I had an upset stomach after a session, and we learned, like, okay, that's too much for what your nervous system's already going through. You respond better to the scraping and the sports stretching than necessarily just grinding shit out. And this is someone who's working with like NFL, everything from NFL athletes to soccer mom, right? So like, to be able to listen to the person, regardless of what the requirement of their body is to solve the problem, like, I love that, you know, those soldiers now have access to professionals like that. And it's a shame that most people don't. It's a really underutilized and underappreciated craft, I think, between physical therapy and sports massage and things like that. And even I know Kyra's kind of looked at as like a witchcraft, if you will. But Sean out in Arizona, when I was having the issue with I was getting a burst on my shoulder from all the reps on the circus dumbbell and a bone bruise. And he was doing all sorts of therapy and treatment and keeping my spine aligned because of all the twisting I was doing. And for the rack position, he got my right shoulder mobile enough through these different movements and stuff to allow me to get into a deeper rack position for that heavier dumbbell. And, you know, Doc Sean helped me achieve that world record just by being the man behind the gun, right? Like, right. People need to know about it. People need to try it. And just like doctors, you're going to have good and bad ones. And it might take some trial and error. So that's why I'm mind naming names about who I see and who I use because they're good. They're good ones. And it's not like I knew where to look. It's like I got introduced to them or something, like Tyler Purdue introduced me to Katie and a waterfall. And it's just by happenstance, meeting the right person and letting that those introductions keep happening. And if I can be that right person for the next guy down the line, like, here you go. Like, no problem.
Because that makes a huge difference. I think it's easy sometimes, and we've done it in other episodes before, it's easy to like dwell on what's going wrong and stuff. And like, it's easy to get burnt out, but you realize like, that's why it's so important of like having the right people there. Of like, my first two serious coaches were pretty terrible people and stuff. And it's like, those things like can't just like, I have one of my friends, she was injured because of the equipped lifting that we did and everything. She just won't lift anymore because it was that traumatic, because she tore her ACL, needed surgery, and then had an allergic reaction to the anesthesia, like had a seizure and had to be resuscitated over a coach who literally put her in triple ply briefs when she had never squatted over 225 pounds. And was like, that's going to tear your, like, triple ply briefs, you have to go really wide and stuff to be able to like hit depth. And then you go low enough, 225 pounds is just going to cave those knees in when you don't have the strength for it. And she just won't lift anymore. Stupid. Like, and that's the crazy thing is like, these things do happen and stuff. Cause whenever I tell people that story, they're like, that's insane. And I was like, the crazy thing is that happened the week before my friend Josh was put into a bench shirt that was too small and it snapped his arm. He had the video up on Instagram for a while, and that Darren saw it. It's appalling. I was spotting on that side, and it's 405, and you're just like right there. And those happen.
It pisses me off that there's people out there that are that negligent and what I mean, I don't even know what else you want to say. Like, just pure negligence, right? Yeah. I mean, it's fucking insane, and we can go down a rabbit hole on that too. How many people are training who decide that they're coaches after their first novice strongman or powerlifting show or whatever it is, right? Never like there's so many people out there that I don't know, man. I'm torn a little bit because like good for them to go and chase their dreams, but at the same time, it's like, man, you're putting people's well being at risk when you don't know, you don't even have
They
the
competed once and now they're
experience.
putting them on gear. Like,
Yeah, dude, like
Yeah.
fucking insane. Like you don't even know that. I mean, dude, you want to talk about like gear, man? Like we've kind of touched on this a few times, and it drives me absolutely batshit crazy when I hear what some people are doing, and then find out that the reason they're doing it is because some gym bro told them, and that's all they do. They're like, oh, somebody told me to do this, so that's what I'm doing. I'm like, are you taking an AI? Are you doing like you taking orals? Are you taking any kind of liver support, Tudica, or anything? Like, are you doing anything? Oh no, dude, I'm just eating 100 milligrams of Anavar a day and I have lupus.
Dude, I was a late bloomer with it because I was scared of it. Like I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know. I went nationals natty. I placed 4th in 2018 OSG natty. I deadlifted 650 natty, clean and press 330 natty, squatted 600 natty. Like I built a really high ceiling without even knowing it. At those points in time, I had no intention of, it was just like I say, following the dopamine. And once I realized, I got to a point of like, I got to make a decision because these top guys, they're doing it, right? But I don't want to do it and fuck my shit up. So like, not only did I do research, I know I'm an idiot. So I always consult people with more knowledge. I get blood work done. I consult an endocrinologist. I tell them what I'm doing. I tell them why I'm doing it. And once they realize, oh, this is what they're doing, how do I help them? Because they're going to do it.
Right.
And literally, like, my first cycle ever was just a little bit of test. Like, it was like 250 a week. Like, but I recovered faster. Like, I was responsive because I still probably do a fraction of what a lot of people do out there. And that's because I listen to my coaches. I listen to their experts. And I've been fortunate enough to never encounter a coach that had that philosophy of just push gear. I had coaches that, how can we make the most out of the least? And to keep me responsive, to keep me healthy, to keep me, on that progression. And, when I get done OSG, that's my last contest of the year. Usually, if I don't have anything planned, I cycle off. And then I return to normal. Then when I get back on, boom, I respond to it.
Right.
And man, just the amount of people I see out there like having really, really bad side effects from things. And
taking like shitloads of freaking like, dude, the amount of trend that I hear people taking just blows my mind.
Dude, I took it for the first time this cycle mainly for my deadlift, for my back, right? Like I didn't pull above 6 without pain.
Right.
And the issue was when I piss my back off in flexion, it pushes the nucleus of that disc out the back and pinches the nerve, shuts down my hamstring, and I lose my pull.
Sure.
So I was on 0.1 cc a day.
Yeah, dude, that's nothing. That's like literally
that was
nothing.
at my 6th year doing this at 30 years old, 5th consecutive finals at OSG, which is the most, I think the only other person to be ahead of me right now is with finals is Rhiannon. Behind me is Josh Kowalski. How do I say his name?
I think that's right.
I think you got close.
I'm close. Sorry, Josh. He's got 4 and do this consecutive. I plan on keep going. Like, I'm coming for the GOAT status of the 90s. Like that's the goal. And to keep doing that, you got to do that shit right. Like,
dude,
I don't want to be 35 and fucked.
More is not better, man. I don't care what it is. More is not better if anything. More training's not better. Well, dude, more of anything is not better. Like, and that's like with gear, especially. I mean, people like, dude, they're slamming a gram of fucking Tren and fucking eating Halo for fucking 6 weeks in a straight and like all this crazy shit. I'm like, dude, you realize like Strongman doesn't pay you fucking anything? Like, why are you doing this to your body? Like, Like nobody gives a fuck.
Because
nobody cares anyway, right? Except for you. So why would you go to those extremes? Like it blows my mind. I've never been an extreme user either. It's crazy.
I mean, with that being said, I'll do what it takes.
Yeah,
to do what I need to do.
It's like a mixed bag. But
yes, so like I will probably use a little more the next time around, knowing what 0.1 did, knowing that was safe. Like, there was no real bad effects. Okay, let's go up a little bit more, get a little bit more out of it. But like coming off this time, I'm gonna have a higher starting point than when I got on last time, and that's how we build that. So like, maybe I'm not back up to that near 800-pound mark in a suit this year, but maybe in 2 years, no problem. Like. But I'm playing the long game with my back here. We're taking all the way until chaos to just build and build and build that lower musculature around the back to build that threshold of when it gets pissed off.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing. It's like that sustainability. I think so many people like Darren, because that same coach who had those crazy incidences, he'd also tell people that the ideal thing would be 500 milligrams of test, and then you would just use Masteron as your AI. That was his advice to like literally everyone. He was like, you don't need an AI to do Masteron.
The first time I met him, that's how dumb the first time I met him, like his introduction to me was, hey, you want some liquid Halo? like, no, I don't want, you don't fucking know who you are, dude. Why are you offering me liquid fucking Halo?
Yeah. And that's the main thing is this stuff like people act like there's no consequences to this. It's just like
the dumbest thing I've done so far, probably with it, is the OSG, the hurricane happened. So the not 22, or 23, 22. It condensed everything into 2 days. Well, I test anadrol dosages within the last 4 weeks because it is an oral and you have to take it with a grain of salt. It might not be exactly 50, might be 30, might be 60. You don't fucking know. So I take one, see how I respond.
Source you do.
Well, I've moved across the country twice.
Sorry.
Shoot me a message after this.
I had this conversation with somebody today. Sorry.
Shoot me a message afterwards, Aaron. I might need to handle that issue. But anyways, I find out exactly how I'm going to respond to that drug. So it's 4 weeks out. I'll take one on one of my heavier days, see how it feels. I'll do that up to 3. So 150 milligrams a week apart. I don't stay on it. So test rolls around. I know what events I'm going to use it and how much. So like circus dumbbell, I don't need it. I don't need over arousal on a circus dumbbell event. On overhead in general, I don't need over arousal. If I'm too aroused, I make mistakes on overhead. On things like stones, fucking feral. Where I fucked up was I didn't adjust my dosages doing the condensation of the entire contest. So like the deadlift, I took like 100. The moving events, I didn't take anything. I forget which events I took one, but come the stones, I had extra left over because I still wanted an appetite in between.
Sure.
I didn't want to kill that appetite. I want to get those calories in. So come the stones, I had a bunch extra. I don't quite remember what it equated to, but it is significantly more than I should have fucking taken. It was probably, at least for me, this is a lot. It was probably somewhere between 400 and 500 milligrams.
Of Anadrol?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
And I just fucking...
That's more than anybody.
So much extra.
That's more than anybody should take in a 24-hour period.
I was fucking strung out. I was nauseous. But man, I was up here. I was tired. Dude, that was a weird one because everyone was tired, like super tired come the last event because it was just the pace and what had to happen to do it. And this isn't knocking OSG. I think they did what they had to do and they provided. I think the restructuring went great given the circumstances. But everyone was just tired. Like it was a long that day. The men had 2 or 3 events the first day, and then I believe that was 7 events that year. Or was it 6?
Didn't they drop it down to 6 because of the 2-day format?
Something like that. But
Yeah,
we
I
had
feel
more
like
events the second day. The women had more events the first day. So just it was a long fucking day.
Yeah,
It was
I don't
like
remember.
6,
I
5,
wasn't
6
there,
p.m.
so I know nothing.
And so I was just like, fuck it, I need the extra boost. And I'm like, I'm not going to use this shit for a year. I don't know if it expires. So I had a use it or lose it mentality. And it was like 1, 2.
Does
It was
it?
about 350, 400 milligrams. It was like 6 or 7 tabs.
Sure.
And I just slammed it, and I was not a functioning human.
Yeah, dude, that's
But
not a
it
great
did what it
idea.
needed. It woke me up. That was probably the dumbest gear thing I've ever done.
Yeah. Yes,
And I will never do it again. I will never take that much again, ever, 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 ever. I felt like shit afterwards. 10 out of 10. Do not recommend it.
Because that's
I'm sure your estrogen like just blew through the roof.
That'll get you.
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell you how Anadrol works. I can't tell you how anything or that when he said AI, I don't even know what that meant.
Aromatase inhibitor. Yeah.
Whatever that does that mean you can't smell?
No. No, it means so Anadrol has a pretty high conversion rate to estrogen, right? And so does testosterone. Almost all AAS, right? Anabolic androgenic steroids have a conversion factor, right, to estrogen. Some don't, or not very much. But in order to manage your estrogen levels, you have to take either an aromatase inhibitor, right? So it's aromatase enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen. Or you can take like an estrogen terminator, like letrozole, which I would not recommend because it's very, very powerful. But yeah, it's how you control your estrogen. And that's like, and that kind of gets back to like the whole topic of, you need to do your own research. You need to understand what you're putting in your body. I have to understand the side effects, how you manage them, right? Or if they're even worth the health risk for a sport that really is just for your own personal glory. Let's be honest, nobody gives a fuck what you lift. Nobody. Right. The community will, for a short period of time, be, thrilled when you win a world championship, but it's a fleeting thing, right?
Yeah.
Soon everybody forgets and they move on. So, you need to do your own research. You need to understand what you're putting in your body. You have to understand what it's doing to your body. You have to understand all of the therapeutic processes, giving blood, right? Understanding that when you put exogenous testosterone in your body, your cholesterol, your lipid profile panel is going to fucking go up because your body converts cholesterol into testosterone, right? Mm-hmm. It's like so much to know, and people just don't do it. They don't do the research. They don't listen. Like they just listen to like anybody tell them what to do, and they just go do it. And I hear this all the time, and I always tell people at the end of the day too, like, don't even trust me, man. Like I'll advise you the best I can because I believe in doing things as intelligently as possible, right? Not just dumping shit in your body with no understanding of what it's doing and taking zero precautions. Like go do your own research. Don't even trust me. But I'm gonna like tell you like you should be doing XYZ because it's there's always a risk taking any kind of exogenous chemicals, period, right? There's always a risk, and you need to understand those risks, and you can't just trust anybody except for a doctor, right? Somebody who's trained and licensed to practice medicine. Don't trust
like when
man.
I would always like my primary knew right away. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like whatever your thing is on the stigmas, I don't need to be talked down off this ledge. This is the direction I'm going. I need you to make sure nothing like we're within. He goes, okay. And fuck, I got a call because he retired. So I have a new primary now. So I got to go through all that again. But that's where like I trusted Max wholeheartedly. I trust Tom wholeheartedly now, especially because the fact that Max handing me out to him specifically, Max knowing me pretty intimately. I have very close relationships with my coaches. because they know what my stressors are. They know what's going on in my life. They know what my financial situation is. They know, because like financial stress, there's studies that show it can appear in your lower back. I have a lower back issue. So like in my mind, they need to know that.
Absolutely.
And like all the way down to like mental affirmations, things I read every day, like just those two have been so good to me and so integral into how I operate and think in my recovery and in my stressors and everything. Like having those people, surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you is a huge advantage you can have as an athlete, as a business owner, as a you name
100%.
it, whatever.
Amen.
Like and that's what I do. I'm not a prodigy. I'm not. And you know what? People like saying, I don't like being at work. Dude, everybody's fucking working their ass off at this level. Everyone's working hard.
Absolutely.
No one's not working anybody.
Right.
Everyone is working their ass off. But the people that are succeeding, they're getting the recovery right. They're getting their sleep right.
Absolutely.
They're getting their gear right. They're not like they're doing all the 1% things correctly.
Yep. Yeah, dude. I got like, it brings me full circle back to like more is not always better, right? Optimal is better. Like you're saying, getting your gear right, getting your training, your recovery right. Everybody is working their ass off, but that doesn't mean training fucking maxing out every day, 5 days a week, right? That's not training harder or busting your ass. Right. If you miss a day, somebody else isn't getting stronger than you. You're actually getting rest when you miss a day, right? Which leads to recovery, which is where the gains are made. And then, also, I mean, going back to what you said, you'll do whatever it takes to win. A lot of people also misconstrue that as taking as much gear as they can fucking put in their body every week. That's not doing what it takes. That's being fucking stupid, right? Doing what it takes is doing the right thing, right? The optimal. I don't know if optimal is necessarily the right word, because I don't know unless you're a full-time professional athlete that you can reach optimal. But
here's a good way to say what you're trying to say. Now I need to do way more work on the lead up to my training. I have to do stretching, mobility. Then I have to do plyometrics. Then I have to do specific knee stuff because I'm dealing with dual patellar tendonitis.
Yeah.
So like that is what's optimal for me right now to have the best training session I can have. It's not about moving more weight. It has nothing to do with moving weight. It's about a specific type of movement in the right pattern, in the right range of motion for 100%. Me to optimize my body for the training session that's ahead, whether it's a heavy day or a light day. I still have probably about 30 minutes of homework to do before I even get to do the bread and butter, and that comes down to what you were saying. Like what I'm doing to optimize right now has nothing to do with supplements. It has nothing to do with gear. It has nothing to do with, it has 100% what to do to make my body move how it needs to move. My hips are twisted. So PT is in charge of, cause they're hands-on doing these movements to get my hips back in alignment because of the back injury, which is probably causing some sort of tension in my quads, which is causing tension in my tendons, which are inflaming my tendons. It's probably all connected to my back. So I have all these people around me that are trying to optimize these little tiny things which seem annoying in the moment. Like, oh, I got to do this again, blah, blah, blah. But you accumulate that over 363 days, 362 days to have 3 days of contest. And your body does what you need it to do. I placed 6th this year. I went in there with the intention of fucking win it. Like every top guy, Tyler Davis, Gavin McNamee, Derek Owens, I apologize, Nick O'Hare, anybody that I miss. But you know who you are. You know who's in the mix. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes there with the intention to fucking win. Now, my body did what it can do. I had about 5 minutes where I beat the shit out of myself mentally afterwards. I thought I let my team down. I let myself down. I let my coach down. But the reality is, my worst event was the deadlift. But it was the event I was the most happy afterwards because I told you I didn't pull above 6. I didn't pull 6 great in training because of the issues I was having with that nerve.
I pulled
675 in a medley.
I was stoked. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't in, I was able to do the events come after that. Now I had 102-degree temperature and was battling a fever. Um,
Ugh.
I got diagnosed with the flu like a day or two before contest in urgent care. So it made my weight cut a little wild. And it made breathing really fucking hard. I passed out on the frame carry because I couldn't breathe. At the end of the stone carry, when everyone saw me go down, I went, that was lights out. That was, I had the flu that was in here. So after I took that 5 minutes to settle down and realized what I just did, I was within podium contention up until like the last event or so, or sandbag toss. I was in podium contention, the worst I've ever been, with the flu and not being able to breathe. I'm like, you know what? Be grateful. Your body did everything you demanded of it, and it did it well, and it put you in the 5th consecutive final. And at that point, I felt more relieved. I felt grateful. I felt it took some while, it took some beating myself up to get to, but when I looked at everything I'd done, with what I could do, I did great for what I was dealing with. I no longer, I'm okay with that performance. I still have the most consecutive finals in the 90 kilo division. I still have 2 consecutive podiums. I'm still up here. And I know people saw that. I was sick. I was visibly sick, and I was still in that fucking mix. I scratched and clawed this entire OSG, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of where I finished. I was stoked to see Derek on podium. I know there was some controversy about the whole 11 thing. I don't give a fuck. My viewpoint on it is, I got to see a friend make podium for the first time, and he put on an absolute show on day 3. It made my heart happy to see that excitement because I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that in a stone run against him the previous year. And you know what we did? We hugged afterwards. So to see that feeling on him made my heart happy. And to see Tyler make a consecutive podium, I know what that felt like. I know with how it turned out in points, whatever, he probably could have won. I don't care about that. I was still happy for Tyler. To see Gav up there. Gav is the only motherfucker I know that can bomb a fucking press and then go and win a show or podium
Right.
absolutely bombing an event at that
That's
level.
insane.
And I think that if he figures out press, like, people are in trouble.
For sure.
So Gav, don't figure out press. I got nothing but love for all those people. It was a heartbreaker to see my homie, not in the finals. But you know what? The coolest this is why this was the most memorable OSG for me to date. Even over winning was an experience I had. So I woke up the stairs to where we're sitting now, standing at the top, and I just assumed he had made finals because Nas a fucking freak. Nas a dude that comes in 2019 and has the most commanding win we've ever seen in the division. Just absolutely put everybody on their ass. Stud athlete. And so I just assumed he made the finals doing what Na does. And he didn't make the finals, and I could see it on him, like emotional, like I get it. And all he did was grab me and he hugged me, broke down a little bit, got it out. We both got it out. Like, I was heartbroken because I was looking forward to like seeing him there in the bull pit, the fist bumps we do, like hyping each other up. Like, it's one of my favorite moments. And to see just that heartbreak on him, and it was his last OSG for a while. Man, like that made me sad. And he didn't pout. What he did was he grabbed my fucking pirate flag, draped it over him, and he's like, whatever you fucking need on the finals, let's party. And he was there heating up my tacky, him and Max. Max carried my Anadrol. They were my homies. And Tom was coaching Nick O'Hare as well. And Tom was there for both me and Nick. Me and Nick have been competing together for a long time. Me and Nick are good friends. We cheer each other on. SBD took a sick photo. I'm crossing the line with the back pedal sled drag, and Nick's screaming. I could hear him like, 2 more feet, 2 more feet. And like, knowing that I was someone doing that, watching, because you can watch another athlete beat you in an event and you're screaming at the top of your lungs for it. And like, shared a coach with Nas, shared a coach with Nick, no animosity. It only honestly, it only brought us closer together, in my opinion. And the way like Tom handled us, the way like Max knew how to handle me. So when Tom was handling someone else, Tom was there for me at the bullpen in my ear, every single event. And to have that like collective and have my opponent put on my flag and be right there at the tacky while Tom's in my ear. Nas helped me get tackied up. Fucking Max was giving me the fucking Anadrol. Like those three people made my experience so fucking good. And then after at the end of it all, we did that jersey swap, me and Na. And he took off his shirt, handed to me and I gave him my pirate flag that I took the podium. He gave me his Maori flag that he walked out with.
Nice.
And him and Harley, I met one of Nas' good friends who's also a native New Zealand. He brought Harley and he stayed with us. And they gave me this tonga.
Nice.
When they did the whole ceremony, they blessed it in Maori. And then they dap up and then you touch forehead and nose when you do that like bro hug thing. And that was the coolest fucking thing that has ever happened in a strongman thing. And it's just like without the journey, without the injury, you don't have the passion for, seeing each other do well, the passion for doing well on the floor. Like, I don't know where I was going with this, but this is what it turned into. It made my heart so fucking full in those moments. And, my heart was full when I won. Like I did it. I did it. This is mine forever. And, I checked off that box, and don't get me wrong, I still want to win just as bad. But the odds of I'll never have that moment recreated. I can recreate a win. Sure. I can't recreate this and those moments with those guys. Like, and when Derek went down, was struggling to breathe, I fucking rushed it. He was in the lane next to me. I rushed over, flipped off his belt, helped him up, carried him, arm over my shoulder on the way out. He didn't have a shirt on. He was all sweaty. I didn't give a fuck. We were laughing. We were joking. Like the job was done. Like that is, you can't trade. And I haven't really seen much in any other sport. And have that be the centerpiece of this documentary, the everything. Yeah. Like it's such a fulfilling thing that people don't get. And I guess I wish for once, like people can experience that level of happiness that I know I've gotten to experience doing all of this. And in those moments, winning or just helping a homie up off the floor, like I hope people do not go their entire lives without feeling that level of happiness. That I'm so fucking fortunate, even injured or sick with the flu, I was still happy to fucking be there, even though all I wanted to do was get in bed. And man, like it's talk about a drug.
Yeah, man. Man, dude. Great fucking story. Did love that. I mean, you're right. Strongman is fucking amazing for that. We're pushing almost 2 hours, which I think this might be our longest episode. Actually,
I was just actually going to look up. So we do have to say that, yeah. So Brian Elsrue was 1 hour, 59 minutes, 45 seconds. So if we
don't you dare cut me off.
If we put a little bit more on the clock,
all right, man. This is your chance. This is your chance to say some final words, Nick. I mean, about the documentary, about anything else you got going on.
There's a couple things going on. So we got the documentary. It's still editing. I may have to go down and present at April 14th to some board of directors this project. So that's kind of like the deadline. We're taking our time with it. It's my first one. But being able to direct a piece of content like this that involves so many different aspects that are a big part of my life, I'm taking it very seriously. And I just hope, people get to see this and, the military gets a bad rap for fucking people up, but it also completely redirected my life and allowed me to do what I'm doing now. I think laid the foundations through good leadership and good people that I met along the way. And then second, Admiral the Black. It's a thing. It will be, I'm finalizing some manufacturing stuff. The website is built. There'll be some collaborative brand collaborations within my ecosystem, my website. It'll be www.admiraloftheblack.com. One of which, my own pirate flag. Now you can bend the bow yourself. That's just my thing. But these will be available. There will be, I'm already working on the second hat option now that I've got this one sorted. Eventually shirts and other stuff. I don't know, whatever I fucking feel like. It's kind of all on the premise of following the dopamine, the pirate term of swashbuckling, going and doing hood rat shit with my friends. I'm not a financially driven person, but I'm tired of making other people money. And if the only money I make from this allows me to just do this stuff, more documentaries like this and showcasing people living passionately, then I'm fucking stoked. So keep an eye out over the next, month. More stuff will be coming out with Admiral the Black and the things that are coming along with it. So that's what I got going on. We just busted 2 hours.
Hell yeah, man.
Through.
Longest episode. Thanks for coming on again, Nick. Wonderful having you. Always.
It's always good sitting down with you boys. When will I see you guys soon?
Soon. I'm think.
Probably not going to be at any shows. I mean, I'm going to probably be at the Olympic City here, unless you're out here for USS Nationals.
Where's Nats?
Colorado Springs. So the Olympic City Pro-Am is March 23rd in Colorado Springs. I'll be there.
You guys should go to Edinburgh for chaos.
Yeah, dude, I would love to go. I really, really want to go. I'd actually love to get in on the record breakers Atlas Stone for U105 and in Derry, Ireland too, but just not in the cards.
Rhiannon and Luke put on such a fucking awesome show.
Yeah, dude.
And there are two more people that have become good friends of mine, and Rhiannon and Luke especially have really helped me with guidance on this venture that I have going on. So got to plug them as well. They've been awesome. And just I plan on making a trip out of it, doing some of the manhood stones, things like that.
For sure. Hell yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
You've got to, man. But I'm sure we'll run into each other soon enough, Nick. I mean,
stay in touch.
I keep running into you one way or the other, so I'm sure we'll see.
I got two hats with your guys' name on it, by the way.
Ooh.
So
hell yeah, man.
Sure. You guys have been awesome. Had me on a third time. Got to show you some love.
Yeah.
Badass, dude. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, boys. Be good.
Also, you guys have to see what this show's done to my hair. Look at that. This is how the studio used to look. Brian Allscrew.
Look at that.
1 hour, 59 minutes. 45.
I had mine.
Brian in his usual red form.
Yeah. I was like, man, it's been a good time. But yeah, I just had to shout that out because I was like, that was our longest running episode ever.
I'm gonna piss myself though.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
This
man.
is
it's
so
getting
awesome.
late.
Yeah.
Later, boys.
Little group chat.
All right.
I'll see ya.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow us on Instagram for updates. We'll catch you next time on World's Strongest Opinions.